I'll call the meeting to order now and you can do roll call.
All right. Chair Kennedy,
Present.
Vice Chair Hawthorne,
Present.
Member Bowie,
Present.
Member Brito,
Present.
Member Clemente is absent, Member DeMoss,
Present.
Member Gorky Schroed,
Present.
Member Martin,
Present.
Member McCullough,
Present.
Member McNeil,
Present.
Member Smith.
Present.
Fantastic. All right, everybody, we'll start with member reports. I don't have anything new to report this month, so we'll catch it, the information all in the committee reports later on, with my comments there. So, Ed, do you have any comments?
No, nothing new to add.
Mari?
Nothing new to report.
Michael?
Nothing new.
Muriel? Not here. Carl?
Nothing for me.
Sabine?
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Tara Lee?
I have nothing to report.
Francis?
No.
Okay. Jose? Since you're muted.
Nothing to report.
All right. So Sean, why don't you introduce yourself to us and, give us a little bit of a background now that you're a member of our team.
Yeah, I just took the oath of office this afternoon. So the city council approved me on Tuesday. So I guess I'm ready to be official. My day job, I'm a supervising staff services analyst in Napa County. So I sort of oversee the budget and some other administrative activities. So I've been in that position for a little over 5 years. So a good part of my day job is budget related and admin related. And yeah, I'm born and raised in Fairfield. So I figured it would be worth putting my hat in the ring for the committee. And I look forward to working with everybody.
Fantastic. Excellent. Okay. Amber, that does our member reports. Want to go into the public comment section, please?
Okay. The public may speak on items not on the agenda, but within the jurisdiction of the Budget Advisory Committee, provided that no action may be taken on off-agenda items except as authorized by law. Off-agenda items from the public will be taken under consideration without discussion by the committee and may be referred to staff. Please use the raise your hand feature or press *9 on your phone to speak. And I am not showing any hands raised, so we can go to the next item.
We'll go on to the consent calendar. Approval of meeting minutes from March 11th.
Okay, does someone want to make a motion to approve that as is or have any comments on the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second that.
Okay, I'll do a roll call vote. Chair Kennedy,
Yes.
Vice Chair Hawthorne,
Yes.
Member Bowie,
Yes.
Member Brito,
Yes.
Member Clemente still absent, Member DeMoss,
Yes.
Member Gorky Schroed,
Yes.
Member Martin,
I approve.
Member McCullough,
Approve.
Member McNeil, oh, I didn't catch that, Jose.
Approved.
Okay, thanks. And Member Smith.
I approve.
All right, all done with that item.
All right, let's go on to new business, subcommittee reports. Ed, why don't we go ahead and start with your committee, the comparison budget committee.
Okay, well, we actually have nothing new to report. We concluded all of our work, I think at our last subcommittee meeting. So we're ready to start fine tuning our recommendations, both for the midterm update and the final. I mean, we've completed our work and we've actually stopped our formal meetings.
Okay.
And so, and I also want to make sure that I thank Michael and Tara Lee for their hard work and diligence in getting us to this point and getting all the work done. So thank you guys for all of that.
Great. Jose, you want to go ahead and go with the Enterprise Fund Committee?
Yeah, we had some emails back and forth. I think we're ready to finalize our report. And the subcommittee members can jump in and add some more, but I think we're there. What we're going to do is make recommendations about where any surplus might be spent, trying to set the tone and guidance for the city council. So I'll be brief with that and let the rest of the committee chime in if they want to, but if not, that's the report. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Carl, you want to talk about your transparency and accountability?
Nothing new to report. We're just working on the draft for the mid
Okay.
update. So we'll get that to you.
Great.
What's the dates, by the way? What are the dates? Is that Monday?
Yeah, you know, since we don't have anything to approve here, I think what we will do is we can, what I'd like to do is be able to have something to propose to the council in May. Some of the things we've talked about with the homeless services division, and go to this full committee for approval of that at our May meeting, and then the following Tuesday, which would be May 12th or 13th, we would then go to the council with our midterm report after the approval from this body on our initial proposal for the midterm.
So clarify something for me. There was a schedule, I guess, that had come out that said I thought on the 20th of April or something.
Yeah, we were going to try to make that, but I didn't get that on this agenda too. We didn't.
So let me interject this for a minute. So send out a calendar to all the subcommittee chairs to take a look at that we had all talked about. So George, so everybody got that schedule. I got no feedback on it. So if in fact we change dates, you got to let me know. We'll update the schedule, because I think everybody's working off one thing. And if we're changing dates, no one knows about the date. So we've got to make sure we keep people informed.
Makes sense.
Okay, excuse me, Mr. Chair. So I'm hearing you say there will not be a report to the council in April. That has been changed to May?
Correct.
Okay.
If we are,
I want us as a group to approve what's going to go to the council, and since we don't have any new business on that tonight, that we only meet once a month. Now, what we could do is we could have a special meeting to vote on what we're going to go to the council with, and then still make an April.
Mr. Chair, can I suggest that we get through the subcommittee reports? Because if the subcommittees are almost finished making their recommendations, why do we need a meeting before a final meeting? Why wouldn't we push it off and make that the report and the final meeting with our report out? So, but we don't know that till everybody's sort of had that, given their opinion.
Okay. So the one, when Francis comes back, we'll let her give her a report. But if we're going to make a recommendation to the council in the midterm report, we have to vote on it as a body for approval.
No, I get that. But what I'm suggesting is, if we are all finished and we are that close, why not put off the midterm report, get us to approve our final report, and then go back and do that? Because it seems like that we're making an extra step and we're almost done.
That's fine with me. If everybody agrees with that, we can do that, because then what we could do is just do the final report really in June instead, and have it all laid out.
Right, and we'll spend the rest of the time just finalizing, improving within our getting the deck done and all this stuff. But
Sabine?
Yeah, just as a question, as a committee member, should we see the full report before we vote on it?
Yes,
I don't
we will.
want to vote on something that I haven't seen.
Yeah,
ready. It hasn't been produced yet, Sabine.
Yeah.
we're saying that we would spend the time, if all the committees are finished, we put all the stuff in it, we sort of take all the input, put together the deck, then the committee gets it back, everybody looks at it, we fine tune, we approve it, and then we go.
Okay.
I'm just saying if we're that close.
Yeah, I haven't seen the timeline or outline of how the process goes, so.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So Mr. Chair, are we revising the timeline then so that we can put that out to everybody? So
Yeah, we'll revise that. Ed and I'll get together on that
Okay.
in the next couple of days, and we'll send a complete timeline out to everybody
All right.
by the end of the weekend. Should be good. Francis?
I missed part of that, but I will catch up. Are you calling on our subcommittee to report
ma'am.
something?
Did Carl?
Carl had nothing new to report either.
Okay, yeah, we're the one committee that has not completed our report. So yes, we do have some items that we would like to share for you tonight. And unfortunately, Muriel's not here. She is doing some work. One of the goals is she's collecting data from relevant cities, whereby she's going to be comparing not just salary of Fairfield city employees, but the overall benefit. Because it seems oftentimes when cities or other entities are looking at salaries, they will look at straight salaries and compare that as a tool for what's appropriate to pay. But it's very, very valuable in the work that she's doing that we look at the entire benefit. So I can't give the content, but that's what she's focused on. And I think it will be valuable. And Sabine has been focusing on some information regarding homelessness. And Sabine, would you just share a summary of where you're planning to go with that project?
Based on the time change, I really would like to extend what I worked on, because that was a 2-paragraph summary. And I think I would like to put a little bit more data and information in that case. I just reviewed, based on the presentation we got from Don Labar from the homeless manager of the city. I reviewed some suggestions where the city should be looking in the future, and identified one, I would call it a gap, that I haven't heard talked about, that I personally think is an issue, namely homelessness and seniors. And I would like to bring that to the attention of the city council. So.
Great.
Okay, and thirdly, I've been focusing on community policing and have come up with a goal, a particular goal. I'm hoping it might fit into our overall plans. Is for the community policing focus is to propose a Fairfield community policing partnership. The cost for this project would be allocated in fiscal budget year 2022-23. I believe I've gotten confused about what year we're supposed to be projecting budget expenses for. But the purpose of this would be to infuse social changes that are needed to begin the eradication of numerous racial disparities and police brutalities in communities. I'm not saying it's in our communities, but my understanding is that this community was established in part based on the murder of George Floyd. And so, you know, keeping that in the background, I've been looking at how can this be relevant to the budget and that focus of the committee. So one source that I have reviewed indicates that folks of color experience about 21% more of police brutalities than other people in general. However, as I was writing this proposal, I reflected back on information that I sought and had been shared by Chief Cantrell, along with her comprehensive, and I say heartfelt presentation she gave to us in March. You know, it just appears based on the few indications that I have received that the City of Fairfield Police Department is under excellent leadership and has some excellent organizational policies in place. Yet, some social changes are needed. The proposal is to bring representation of the whole community together to organize a Fairfield Community Policing Partnership. In other words, FCPPP. And I have a list of steps, processes for formation of such a proposal, which I may or may not need to go into. This is the first time that I'm actually bringing something to the body. But the reason this is being proposed is because this is a project that could ultimately provide an outcome that the people of Fairfield may prefer for their police department, what they want their police department to look like and how they want to be served by the police department. And it would bring representation from throughout the community. Based on the studies, brief studies that I've done thus far, my observations are that based on literature and public forums indicate that people in general seek community policing services that includes appropriate recruitment, updated training, including cultural competencies, awareness of mental health and homeless issues, fair promotions, and both internal and external accountability. So that's kind of an overview of the proposal with 8 steps in the overall process. And that would be what this committee has been looking at.
Okay, great. And Sean, you will be joining that committee, Francis, is the Fiscal Budget Goals and Objectives Committee. And I will send you I'll get your email from Amber and I'll send you kind of the duties of it, everything that committee was charged to look at. And
Appreciate that.
And Sean, welcome to our committee and our subcommittee. And we will be holding a committee meeting shortly after this group have met so that we can all come together to focus on what we're trying to bring together for the rest of the committee.
All right, sounds good.
Mr. Chair, I had a quick question for you. Did we ever get clarification on the question that Councilwoman Bertani had asked?
Ms. Bertani has not returned my questionnaire. I won't get into the sides of it, but she has not responded to my questions via email.
Okay, so the question that she asked, then we're leaving that for her to respond to that. So that will not be a part of any report that we put out.
That is correct.
Through the chair, Carl, are you speaking to the question that Councilwoman Bertani raised when the report was given back in February?
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
And I know the email works because I thought, okay, did the email not go through? You know, whatever, did I do it wrong? And I emailed another council person and they responded back to me and I did it the exact same way. So she's chosen not to respond back, so. Which is unfortunate.
Well,
Um,
George, I don't know what else is on our agenda. Did you, are we meeting the mission as proposed by the city council?
Yes, when we make our, the way the council, the vagueness of what our charge was to make recommendations for this fiscal year that ends June 30th. And that we all know and realize was basically impossible since all those budget numbers were already set. So we're making these recommendations on the shortfalls that we see that they can take into consideration for the next full budget. So we are meeting those responsibilities, yes. It's just our timeline's a little bit different than theirs.
Emily,
So-
I had a question for you, if I might. Can you give the committee an update on the budgeting process for the city and the timing of when it'll go to council and things?
Well, so, and Brian can chime in too. I mean, we're deep in the budget process right now, but that's not to say that if a proposal, so we would bring the proposed budget the second meeting in June. I'm not sure what that is, June 20th, second meeting in June. If the council were to hear recommendations from the committee and they want to incorporate that in the budget, they have every right to, ask Brian and I to come back with, how could we make this work within the budget? And we would bring it back off, outside. That could be part of the budget hearings. And if we know kind of ahead of time through you all what, is being recommended from the committee, and then Brian and I can be prepared with maybe some alternatives. Well, if we don't fund this, we can fund that. Or, there very likely could be recommendations coming out of this committee that are actually in the proposed budget or very similar. And then maybe we can, match them up. So, because there is a lot of talk about right now, just in the development, about augmenting homeless services. And then on top of that, we have the American Rescue, I always forget one of the words, Act funds, although those are one-time funds. So there's lots of opportunity. Just because it opens on June or in the second meeting in June doesn't mean we have to wait until the next cycle. And Carl, that, we can, we're a little more fluid than that. So we'll just work with what we have. Hopefully did that answer your question? Okay, good.
I think it also begs the conversation, Carl, that if we can understand where all the committees are and how much time they need, finalizing our recommendations sooner gives it a better shot at the budget cycle, right? Rather than prolonging it with a midterm and then a final in June. If we can move that period up to finish our work, then we can have deliberations around how to get the critical ones sort of in the budget cycle, right? With early warning to the city council and early warning to staff.
And I just need a confirmation that we're talking budget 21, 22.
Correct.
Correct. Yeah, it's definitely possible.
Now, Emily, technically it's 21 to 23, right? It's a 2-year budget cycle?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I thought, 22.
Yeah. It's a 2-year budget. And then, but throughout the year, we do have some budget adjustments or we bring proposals in. But yeah, we're in the budget process right now, but that doesn't preclude us from, bringing forward recommendations from this committee, simultaneously.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
I have a quick question. I've heard mid-year report come up a few times. Does mid-year mean estimated actuals as of June 30th of 2021? More in the context of like fund balance, or I just want to get a little more info on that.
We're talking about midterm. We're talking about, if we're talking not the budget, if we're talking about our committee, we're talking about midterm of our committee.
Okay.
So, because we end in June, so we were talking about a midterm report out to the city council. And what we've been discussing is, should we have a midterm or should we finalize and actually do a final report?
Yeah, what we thought, Sean, I gave a report back in February, and the council, likes quarterly, some committees are annual. We chose to try to do a quarterly report. So we were thinking of doing one in between February and the final report, but I think we'll be able to wrap this up, that we'll be able to get that final report out earlier, kind of in between the two. So
Okay, appreciate you clarifying for me.
and then what I'll do is set up with my committee chairs a time where we can meet in the next week or so, and let's pinpoint some of this stuff and some of the funding mechanisms that may be available through. And then we can talk to Emily about syncing that up with the budget. Does that sound good to everybody? Everybody is quiet tonight.
Yes.
Thank you.
Well, I miss a little bit of this discussion. Unfortunately, my phone is right here in my office and I missed some of it. But if you say the subcommittee chairs are going to get together soon,
Right.
and we're going to be reviewing all the content from each subcommittee, the proposals, recommendations,
Correct.
whatever they have together. And what happens next?
Hey, Francis, can I offer something? I think, and maybe, Mr. Chair, if I got this wrong, but I think the subcommittees are coming together, to me, is to look at the remaining activities left and finalize the schedule so that everyone knows what schedule they're working against to create a draft, to get the draft to the committees, to be able when can we get to the final report? So that's what we should be doing first, as the committees are still working on your recommendations, because we already have the draft template of what we're going to report on. Everybody already knows the points that their committee should finish up on that will provide input into the report. But I think we need to finalize the schedule first.
Okay, so the schedule, all right. When the subcommittees meet, the chair will be
Because Francis,
finalizing the schedule.
where we have a draft of the schedule out, but now we're talking about sort of changing some of the dates. So we need the subcommittee chairs to get together and agree on the dates and what timeline, what the timeline looks like, how much time is required for you to finish, how much time do we need to allot for the full committee to review. So we just need to adjust the dates on the schedule first.
So when are we compiling, say, the draft?
It's going to be all in the schedule.
Like for the whole committee to see, will the whole committee be able to see what it is we're going to be presenting to the city council?
Okay, Francis, I sent a calendar to all of the subcommittee chairs that laid out all of the work that we need to do from now to the report out.
Okay.
So everybody has that. But I think what George is saying, that he's adjusted a date. That date means that the whole schedule has to change. And so now if we're talking about maybe trying to finish up and not do the mid-year report, just have a final report, now we have to look at the schedule and make the modifications to the schedule. But all of the tasks required to get a draft, required to have reviews, required to have all of that stuff back and forth to get to the final report, all those tasks are in the schedule.
All right. So if I look at the schedule, I'll know what's going to happen. I just don't know when. Okay.
Right. We just have to adjust the dates for the when, but the tasks are there.
Because we want the recommendations. They have to come to the committee for a full vote on the committee to be able to present to the council.
And we will do that full vote in May.
Hopefully, yes. That's what when we have our meeting with myself and the committee chairs, we will get your timelines to make sure you can be ready in a month.
Okay.
So we can vote on it on the May meeting, which is the 13th.
And then we need to share that calendar to the entire committee, so they're
Correct. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. A little bit of notice on, so on the, I don't know if you guys have been following this, since Enterprise Fund has been looking a lot at the cannabis tax issues, that I don't know how much all y'all have followed along this line, but the council last meeting, 2 meetings ago, threw out all the scoring, and instead of looking 2 licenses for the top 7 candidates, the consultant that they hired did a boo-boo and got fired. And so the council now went back and they opened it up, all 13 applicants to present to the council, of which the council will, at this point, is charged looking at 2 licensees, and then 1 for manufacturing. And there's a petition going around asking the city to change it to 6 licenses instead of the 2, because apparently what's happening statewide is some of these companies are holding the licenses and not doing anything with them. So, but if you have more licenses approved, more chance that they'll all get built is some of the thought process behind that. I think for our group, you know, when and they're going to go over, they're going to have 2 meetings on this. Amber, if I'm not correct, the 29th and 30th of April.
Yeah, or the 28th and 29th. I'm
Yeah,
not
it's
100%.
2 of those 3 days.
Yeah.
So that they're going to be looking at all 13 proposals. So there is a humongous difference. When I listened to the original ones, I mean, we're talking like $1 million difference in sales tax revenues from one company to another company. So, and when the council's looking at, you know, $300,000 to $600,000 on a full year operation, it's kind of mind-boggling seeing what the difference was with these companies, because if they could generally do that, it's going to, you know, the cannabis tax is going to create a huge windfall for the city. So we'll see more here coming up. You have a chance on the 28th and 29th. It's pretty interesting to see what they're proposing, where they're proposing some of these locations, and you know, my concern is the performance, and to show what their volume is going to be, how they're going to reach that volume, and then of course the percentage of that will then go to the city. So so that'll be coming up at the end of the month. So I highly encourage that. And April, Amber, is it also the next council meeting will be in chamber, correct?
No, it's still going to be online. They're hoping for May now, but that's not set
Okay,
in stone.
gotcha. Yeah, because the building's not ready, or because we're still in red tier?
Because of COVID, you can't fit very many people in there, so we want everyone to be able to participate, and we can't let everybody in. There has to be like 20% of maximum capacity or something, and it boils down to like 60 people or 50 or something like that. And with staff and council itself, that takes up like half of
Gotcha.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, red tier is 25%, orange tier is 50%, yellow is 75%, and then the anticipated green tier would be 100%. So
Yeah, we're moving
Yeah.
the wrong direction right now. So
yeah, we're just fluctuating up, high, low, high, low. It's kind of crazy. But the fairground's doing an amazing job. I got my second shot on Monday, and they're doing such a bang up job down there getting people through. It's just, it's good to see.
I agree.
But anyway, well, I don't have anything else. Do members have any other questions? Then we shall adjourn, and committee chairs, look at some dates that you're open, and let's get a meeting together in the next week.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair. Might I suggest that you throw out dates for us to pick rather than, I mean, that's kind of a random.
Sounds good. I'll send you all an email.
Okay.
Oh, okay.